Jonathan Nister, Evan Ostulazu, Zion Ryu. Next we have Arjun Nagamangalam. We have Utilas Sami, Carter Bayer, Sid Galley, Blake Berkeley, Axel Olsen, William Copeland, Jack Edwards, Matt Lee, Daniel Checkery, James Herring, Eddie Zing, Baijan Gumamani, and last but not least, Cyrus Kalak. Give it up for your Eastside Prep. And now, on to your defending champion, the Lone Peak Knight. We
Welcome, Ultimate fans, to Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the 2023 High School National Invite, coming to you from Salt Lake City, Utah, here at the Regional Sports Complex. Boys final, our final game of the High School National Invite. Eastside Prep, the #1 seed, taking on the reigning champs, Lone Peak. I'm Keith Rayner, joined by Michael Aguilar, and Lone Peak has been on fire this tournament. They're getting fired up for the home crowd, Aguilar. Can this Eastside team take them down?
If any team that's at the tournament can do it, it's Eastside that has a shot. Lone Peak has been on fire. They have yet to give up 10 points in a game this weekend, Keith. But Eastside has put together an incredible season. State champions out of Washington. We all know the gauntlet that the Dis Northwest High School League is. Having that title under their belt, undergoing the trials and tribulations of this weekend, including the barn burner semifinal that we just broadcasted from the 2 rounds ago between Eastside and Green Canyon High School. Final score 15-13. As we take a look at the bracket and the route that they've taken to get here, Eastside had to take down their Washington compatriots, Nathan Hale, who were bumped into the pre-quarterfinals thanks to a loss to Lone Peak in pool play. Then they had to take on Green Canyon 15-13, mounted a late comeback in that game. On the other side of the bracket, we see Lone Peak, who took down Jordan in spite of an incredible performance from Tobias Brooks, met South Eugene in the semifinals, took a 4-1 lead early and never let it get any closer than that. This is the 2 best teams at this tournament in this division. So we have a lot to look forward to, a lot of talent on the field, and we should expect some fireworks from both sides here.
Lone Peak trying to make it a back-to-back. We just saw a repeat champion in the girls division in South Eugene. So Lone Peak is hoping to match that.
We are just a minute
and they'll
away.
have to go through a Seattle team, just as they did last year in the final, taking down Nathan Hale and Declan Miller. But this is a Seattle team that just beat Green Canyon, a team who beat this Lone Peak team twice. So, like you said, if there is a true challenger, a worthy opponent, then this could be it. Although I imagine that a bunch of teams have lined up across from Lone Peak thinking it could be us. And they will not.
Got the 1 seed versus
That's
the
right.
champions.
And we can also expect a lot of hometown support. The stands are packed with local fans. However, once again, if any team was prepared to bring the same crowd support, it's Eastside, who's traveled with a massive crowd this weekend, and I'm sure will be vocal in their support of their team.
Not to mention, there's like 10 teams from Seattle at this tournament who are no longer playing, who might be in their corner.
That is very true as well.
We've got Eastside in the dark kits. Maxwell Olsen, their star junior handler, getting set to pull. Lone Peak in the whites. Sun's starting to set here in Salt Lake City. Ball goes up from Olsen. Underway now in the final. Matchup defense from Eastside as they go to Mitchell Burt, one of their big-time contributors. Bergquist tries to force it up the line to Nick Woodcott, but Philip Isiv there for a block. Eastside's going to get an early break chance.
And Isiv showing up early just as he did in the semifinals. He is a menace, both as a receiver and a defender. Lone Peak will need to know where he is at all times.
And just sends everybody streaking deep on the Hail Mary play, and a bunch of bodies up in the air, and Isiv comes down with the towering bookends, although there may be some discussion before we get to the celebration.
What a play by Isiv, going up between Jensen and Burt.
On the field. Eastside
Let's listen into the discussion.
He did come down with it.
We may have some technical difficulties on the observer mics, but as we look at this play again, a real tight play, Keith.
That's a clear goal to me.
It is sent back.
They're sending it back. It's got the crowd fired up. So maybe they give it like a 0.2 of a goal.
I would give it more than that. The adage is that the tie goes to the offense. That might have been less than a tie looking at the replay, but
maybe there's a question if there was a foul, like the player was entering the space that they didn't have the right to. That I'm more sympathetic. We need to see more replays to know, but that is the game plan here, is ice him streak deep and let's let our super strong thrower do his thing. Back underway in a much different type of offense from Eastside, but maybe some nerves from Cyrus Clapp. She floats that continue. Back in Lone Peak's hands. Third at midfield, looking to reset it. Great up line cut, lots of yardage for Bergquist. Easy continue into the end zone. And from one end to the other, what looked like the game's opening break has instead become the game's opening hold for Lone Peak.
Definitely a missed opportunity there for Eastside. They're going to look back on that one and have a little grimace on their face. I'm sure that, you know, we've come to expect some great throws from Olsen. As we look at this replay again.
Yeah, that's a goal. I'm sorry. That's a straight goal and a nice one at that. I think there's some justified grievance on the part of Eastside.
Yep, I think Olsen maybe would like to have that back and have a little bit less float on it to leave no question whatsoever, but nevertheless, ISIV made a great play on the disc. The Lone Peak players were able to get their hands in there. Those are the type of bang-bang plays that are often tough to adjudicate in this type of situation. You hate to see it have to go back on a contest, but you know, one of the things that we saw from Eastside in the semifinals is that they're not a team that's easily rattled. They're going to stay in this game. They're going to keep their eyes on the prize, and I expect to see a crisp, clean O point from them coming out here.
Yeah, that call may have taken back a goal, but it didn't cause a turnover. That was all Eastside, and the defensive pressure from Lone Peak. So credit to Lone Peak for staying with it and then attacking after they got the turn. I don't know how many golden chances Eastside's going to get. First strike goes to Lone Peak.
Will be interesting to see the matchups that Lone Peak calls here defensively. They're one of the few teams that has numerous players to match up against the outstanding all-stars from Eastside.
Here's Olsen. Sam Pugh on the mark. He's hoping the first chance to match up with Olsen on a deep point. Inside break to ISIV. Back to Olsen looking cross field. Not sure if that was who he intended to catch it, but a leaping grab from Max Lee. And Lee patiently finds a target. A big spike and a shush to the crowd for Harrison Pro.
Eastside has definitely shown that they've got some fire when it comes to getting themselves fired up and interacting with the crowd and the opponents. We see it there, but as fiery as they may be after the point, it's all about some patience here. Lee embodies the consistency of Eastside as he surveys all of his options and then finds an open Harrison Pro in the end zone for that soft inside break to catch the score.
Generally, I think that part of the Eastside philosophy is let's make the easy throws. There are a couple players who are given the license to break that rule, but you can see that Lee is, hey, where's my easy option? And when he doesn't see one, he's going to look somewhere else until he finds it. And the option he did find was both valuable and easy, which is the ideal marriage here. So back on defense now for Eastside. And you mentioned that they've shown that they don't get rattled. I wonder if there's a question of if this Lone Peak team has been tested at this tournament. They had a season prior to this, so they've lost games. They've been in some close battles. So I don't think that even if they dominated this weekend that they were completely green in that area. But it is nice to kind of get hit once before you get to the big game so that you don't get shocked when if it does happen. Ryan Roberts looking at a coaching set for the Eastside defense. And Bert's reset is too hot. So second break chance for the Seattle Flood.
Worth noting that Alex Olson is sitting this point out, something that he did not do this early on in their semifinal game against Green Canyon.
And Sion Rao will be part of the engine for the D-line offense. And the Eastside gets the first break. Isiv with the short throw to clap. And it's got the fans clapping as Eastside goes up 2-1.
A miscue there from Burt. That's not typical. He is a rock on their O-line. He's a threat deep. He's a threat underneath. But Eastside once again taking advantage and taking advantage quickly. Just like on their first break opportunity, they shot to the end zone quickly. Here, it was picking up the disc and immediate movement downfield and finding some ways to change the angle of attack and then attacking the front cone with a cutter to score that first break.
They get more easy throws. That's going to be the theme to keep watching for this Eastside team when they find easy options. You can't stop them from getting open with their legs. You're going to have to try and push them into an uncomfortable position because otherwise they will stay in their comfort zone.
And you talked about whether or not Lone Peak has the opportunity to, or has had the opportunity to be tested. Here as we see Lone Peak coach Joe Strong coming off the line. I don't know this for a fact, Keith, but I'm willing to bet that this may be the first time Lone Peak has trailed at the tournament this weekend.
Most like we mentioned, this is a reigning champ, so they've got another previous season's worth of previous tournament worth of experience to look at. Utilize some of the key players from that team, Everett Saunders, Maxton Lynn, no longer at Lone Peak, but they've clearly had a new group ready to step up right away.
You see a side stack look here from Lone Peak. They really like to isolate cutters out in space and keep the field wide open. Eastside was able to keep a poach in the lane and disrupt that pull play.
Roberts, a deep shot to Bird, and you can see the speed, but Bird goes up a little too early. Has the backup, though. He doesn't like to have someone have you down.
That is a fortunate bounce for Lone Peak, but as you pointed out, as we watch this replay, Burt, a great athlete. There was help over the top here, but it just didn't matter as Burt outran both his defender and the help that already had steps on him. Then the backside help from Colton Bacon and the assist. Lone Peak is got to be happy with the way that turned out.
And Bacon did exactly what he should do in that situation, which is play that backside for a deflection or a misread. Burt maybe going up early and could have just missed that altogether, and it still might have fallen right into Bacon's hands. Classic example of what I like to call Bacon rolling.
It's a great expression for it, Keith. And just like we talked about, taking easy throws is a big ethos for Eastside. Doing those little things right is a big ethos for Lone Peak. This is a program that takes the sport extremely seriously, functions like you would expect a varsity sport program to function. Lots of detail, lots of intention in all facets of the game, and that play by Bacon is a good example of that attention to detail.
Lions. Now Alex Wilson just his own goal line, winds up a big backhand ice with separation and a full field shot, just short of full field, I should say. 68 yards for Olsen. Now it's red zone work. That's in front of Eastside Prep. Lee to Olsen, sneaking past the defender for the score.
Another patient possession, and especially a patient possession from Lee. That's his second assist. Both of them come from the exact same situation as we see him survey options. Think about the reset to ISIV. Give Olsen time to work against his matchup. Wait for him to get open the up line and put it out to space for him to run onto.
Yeah, what Lee is doing is never going to show up. Or that type of play is just never going to be there. But you can see how he's using his skills, what he brings to this team, that patience, that intelligence, that field vision, to help his teammates. Nice job by Maxley in the right spot and then executing the system with his strikes. And of course, we talked about making easy throws. Maybe that qualifies as easy throw for the Astros. I don't know. Just bombing it 68 yards might be easy. But he certainly gets the passes the rule breaker on.
We've said it once already this weekend, but you don't get to be a 1,000 rated disc golfer without being able to throw a backhand. Olsen shows the skill there, and I would expect to see more. We look back at the semifinal where he threw 9 assists in the semifinal. 10. Excuse me, 10. Forgot about the forgot about the last point, but 10 assists in the semifinal. They rely heavily on him, and he's up to the task.
Fire with the ball for Eastside Prep that lands out of bounds.
As Lone Peak walks the pull-up, they look to again be setting up in a side stack. Eastside did a good job of breaking Lone Peak out of its pull play last O point. We'll see if they're able to do so again.
Jump look from Eastside. Not troubling Lone Peak at all. Sets it right. Nothing slowing down a little bit for the Knights. Sneaks through the cup, but nice reactive by Eastside to try and close up some of these windows. But Burt has some room in the back of the end zone. Shrugs as to say, where's his defense? Here I am, I'm getting goals.
That's good pressure from Eastside. They had an opportunity early on in the point. Cyan Rao did a great job of closing off the inside lane. But again, the attention to detail from Lone Peak, the patience, the ability to find an open reset, to reset the count, and eventually work the disc down the field to a point where you just don't have enough defenders to cover the end zone when the disc is that close. And the fans are excited. Lone Peak continues to apply pressure, and Eastside is set to receive the pull.
This Lone Peak team has been so strong at this tournament, as mentioned. They've not given up double-digit goals.
That's correct. But they've also not trailed, and here we are, Eastside. The game tied up right now, but Eastside in the driver's seat as they are set to start a possession. And as of yet, Lone Peak has not applied much pressure to this Eastside offensive unit. It'll be interesting to see if Sam Pugh continues to draw the Axel Olsen matchup in their quarterfinal against Jordan High School out of North Carolina, who has Tobias Brooks on their roster, maybe one of the best players in the division at this tournament. Lone Peak steadily threw different matchups at Brooks in hopes of giving him different things to think about, forcing him upfield, forcing him backfield, a big mark, a quick mark. It will be interesting to see if they follow suit against Olsen today.
Immediate deep shot from Olsen, and does this seem familiar? Icev taken off.
You have to start wondering at what point Lone Peak will be doing something different. Lone Peak is one of the few teams that has the athletes to run with Icev, but they are kind of continuing to let him work in space and fronting him with different defenders, but nevertheless, and Olsen continues to put it. Icev continues to run it down. At some point, Lone Peak will have to force Eastside to do something different.
Yeah, they're going to stick with plan A until you make him go to plan B. And Icev is, I think he's got good speed. He's not like tremendously fast, but he's fast enough. But he's got great acceleration. He takes off. His first couple of steps are hard. And if you're not ready, he's going to put a big piece of separation between you and him. And from that point, he can just use his body position and speed to finish the play. He can go up and get the disc, as we saw in the first point as well. And I think the thing that I've seen from last high school national like this one, is the growth of his defensive capability. He's become a really impactful defender for this Lincoln team. And that's given him a lot more utility for the team to stay on the field more often, be a bigger factor for them. But we saw in their semifinal that eventually they were comfortable using Icev's gravity as a decoy. They could send it deep, pull a bunch of defenders, and just free everybody else up and gain a bunch of yards that way. So maybe they're waiting just to see if Lone Peak's going to fall into the same trap.
Another big side stack here with lots of space for Lone Peak.
On this end, I feel like the matchup's going to be watching Cyrus Clapp go against Ryan Roberts, one of the key handlers for Lone Peak. He hasn't gotten a touch yet, but that hasn't made it any more difficult. So Lone Peak walks up the field for a score. Bergquist catching that one from Burt.
And you're not wrong that the Roberts matchup is important, but based on what I've witnessed so far this tournament, the Burt matchup is just as important. As we see here, whether he's throwing goals, catching goals, or just gaining big yardage and then continuing the offense downfield, he's a cog that is very important for Lone Peak and not an easy matchup. Standing at 6'3" with great speed, great disc skills, and in addition to that, a good field awareness. He's the type of player that, especially at the youth level, sometimes could try and feel like I need to make things happen given the physical assets that he has. But more often than not, I've seen him taking the smart throw, the easy throw, the open throw, versus forcing something downfield that may open his team up to a turnover.
Still searching for that break. Picking up an early 1-2. The Seattle team. So I'd be surprised if they go this whole game without one.
It looks like
It'll be worth watching that Icev matchup and seeing what Lone Peak decides to do on this point, if we see a change or if they continue to try and just match up and see if they can take him one-on-one.
This is centered to Icev, and this time centered to Olsen, and Icev comes underneath rather than out.
It looks like there was a call. Looks like there was either a foul or a strip call.
Uncontested foul.
So Eastside kept possession.
This time matched up with Truman Abbott, the first matchup between those two, I believe.
Hughes still assigned to Olsen.
That actually may be Braden Bybee
You're right. You're right. So mixing up the matchups, a thing that I really think is important to do. There's Pugh. Sam Pugh flying through the air for a block, but a foul call for DeVore.
The crowd making its opinion well known with the call.
Like there is a foul on the call. After Lone Peak hit the disc, it looks like there was a foul called.
As we get a look at the replay here, this is an advantage of switching your matchups on Olsen. You get to push Pugh downfield and hopefully have him disrupt things in the downfield space, while Bybee is more of a quick handler-defender matchup for Olsen to deal with.
Speaking of that call specifically, from what I saw, I'm not sure I can see how it's physically possible. I think that Pugh was far enough in front of the defender that even if he touched the disc, it would have been before it did stop. Easy for me to say from far away. When like these bang-bang plays are a lot harder to read in the moment.
Good denial there from Bybee on Olsen.
Round break after a round break from Eastside. Gets it about 6 yards outside the end zone, and Eisig just streaking across the field for another goal. And right now it's Olsen and Eisig who are getting on the stat sheet. Team effort to get there, but those two are showing out just like this good.
You typically, as a coach, you wouldn't want to see all 7, of your offensive players in the same third of the field. But Eastside made it work there as things got crowded there on the break side. Eisig was able to give a jab step and bump out to the fore side, and Olsen threw out to space for the goal.
The Spirit Award winners for this year's tournament, South Eugene Axman. So not only a semifinalist, but also doing it in a way that impressed the other teams here. Selected as the Spirit Award winners.
So 2 trophies going home for the South Eugene program. Really respectable performance, obviously, in the girls division, winning the title. And we love to see the boys team competing at a high level, and as you mentioned, earning the respect and appreciation of their opponents, as the Spirit Award is determined by scores given by every team that they played against this weekend.
Olsen staying out for Eastside. See the Eastside fans trying to fire it up as Olsen sends one of those sailing pulls. It rolls out the back. I mean, they almost always land it within 10 yards of the back line. It's really remarkable.
And Lone Peak is not sending a handler back there to deal with the roll. And Olsen in semifinals and already once in finals has had some of those pulls nearly skirt the back out of bounds line, in which case they would have to get picked up in the back of the end zone. I would be sending someone back there just in case that happened.
Jump set from Eastside, but they haven't really been able to set their feet yet. Great spot from Roberts has Burt with Akers Aru. But a little too fast. A rush play from Lone Peak results in a turnover.
A player down
Rouse down for Eastside, so we'll take a moment to stop play.
Looked like there may be a collision on the back end of that play as players were starting to change their direction to head to get on offense and back on defense, as the case may be. Doesn't look to be too hard of a collision, but you never know. He seemed to be holding his lower back when you kind of come down there unexpected. It's hard to say. That lower back can be connected to a lot of other muscles in your lower extremities, and if you come down oddly, things can seize up there. Hope he's all right. As we see his coaches out there, let's take a second to give a shout out, because tomorrow is Father's Day, and this weekend has been an awesome time to see a lot of dads on the sideline, and even if it's not actual biological fathers, some father figures, some people filling in some fatherhood roles in the Ultimate community. I know I'm excited to celebrate my own fatherhood tomorrow as you see a picture of my son, Callahan, sitting in the high school national invite trophy. And we even have a picture of him now today. That was as the team I coached, Catholic High, won the inaugural high school national invite. And then a picture of him with the trophy today. We don't have that picture, but trust me, he's a different person now these 6 years later, Keith. And a happy early Father's Day to you as well, as I know Miles is at home and eagerly awaiting his dad to return home. So shout out to all the dads here that are and father figures that are supporting these players and their role on the team. And especially want to shout out my dad, Chris Aguilar, who instilled my love for sports and is probably one of the biggest reasons I'm here today.
Now, does the winner also does Callahan go with the trophy still, or is it?
Look, if the winner wants to take Callahan for a couple weeks and just spend some time with him and give us a little downtime, you're not going to hear any complaints from me.
Olsen gets open in the short space and then sends one, but now the backside helper is going to eat that up. Roberts taking that in as if it was meant for him. Deep shot going up, but this one pops him in the air. Burt battling with Clapp. And Clapp able to get the better of that matchup. Tough to out-jump Burt, but better timing on Clapp's part.
Clapp, a huge contributor in that semifinals, tasked with the tough job of marking up against Isaac Wilcox from Green Canyon and really worked tirelessly as we see this huck go up.
Also trying to keep this one in bounds and tucks it in. Good night. Bayer with the score and another dive ball from Axel Olsen.
What a shot. What a shot. And that is going to be assist number 3 for Axel Olsen. He's got a goal to add to it. And again, leaving an indelible impact on the game already, with I'm sure more to come. You know, that's a great example of a throw where the thrower really knows what they're looking for. Oftentimes, you want to see kind of an OI edge on a huck where it's coming back to the receiver, but given the angle that Bayer was taking, Olsen did a great job of keeping an IO, seeing the space that Bayer was running to, and keeping the disc out in front of him there, not forcing him to adjust his line. He had plenty of space, he had plenty of steps, and Olsen put it out in front where only he could get it.
You're pointing out that 3 because it's such a paltry number for Axel Olsen. I mean, it's way off pace for getting 66% of his team's goals and assists. You know, he's honestly, I think this is kind of a weak effort. I think he should step it up a little bit.
Well, that is true, but there's lots of game left, and he's already sat out. I believe he sat down for the first break of the game. So
I'm just saying, if they're going to score 15 and he's going to throw 10 assists again, he needs to get 7 out of the next 9.
You act like that would be a surprising feat. We got some tailgaters here.
Is that the best seat in the house? Is that
it may be. The Utah community has really come out strong for this tournament, and we've really appreciated the support and celebration of Youth Ultimate.
Those folks might have just been driving by on the highway and they said, oh, that looks entertaining. Little resistance from Eastside on this deep point. But again, just an execution error on the part of Lone Peak. It looks a little bit frazzled. Olsen, immediate deep shot. Jockeying for position is Isev and Pugh. And Pugh with 2 shots at it, 1 block for his troubles.
You got to breathe a sigh of relief if you're Lone Peak on that one. If Sam Pugh can't get a block against Isev, then you're in big trouble.
Roberts to Burt with room to spare. Catches it on the goal line. And Burt just patiently waits for someone to come from behind, and it's Pugh who gets the bookends.
A well-earned point there for Pugh. Again, he's the defender that you really want taking that Isev matchup. If you can pick it, he is the best defender on Lone Peak's roster. You see him body for position, get the inside lane, make sure on the second touch. He initiates the offense after he picks up. Burt, again, chewing up yardage. And again, the attention to detail from a Lone Peak player here to be patient, wait for the obvious open look. And there it is, Hugh with the goal.
A lot of times when we catch the hook, you're out in front of everybody. The most open person you're going to get is going to be behind you. Nice one look that way. But nice job by Burt, breaking free on one end. And Ison was trying to do the right thing, trying to fight for position with Hugh, but Hugh had the better lead. He clearly had a better identification.
Once again, our score is Eastside Prep 6, Lone Peak 5.
All that said, LP still missing that break.
Versus the Knights, who will end by the end of the night.
And Eastside still fearlessly taking shots when they get an opportunity. Olsen will not be deterred, I can't imagine, in spite of that one block. And that changes things a lot for Lone Peak's defense, just knowing that Olsen will take the shot. Regardless of what look you're giving him, he's going to continue to pressure you deep. It's going to change how they have to change how they play defense. He's been more aggressive deep in this game than he was in the semifinal against Green Canyon, where he's doing a lot of small ball. We haven't seen any dominator sets really from Eastside yet. Maybe they're keeping him in the pocket, or maybe they just think it's not the right fit against this athletic. Or they may be breaking it out right now, Keith. Olsen, look at the touch. Can he soften it just enough? No. Or with a symbolic bid at that one. Just out of his reach. Although the bid was pretty far off, that's a throw that you only need to give your receiver 1 or 2 more steps there. It's a near miss, but it's the miss that Lone Peak has been waiting for. I honestly thought he had sat it out perfect and just kept a little too much space at the end of it. It's fine. Too much Heiser or Heiser. I don't know. He knows. I can't keep up with that disc golf stuff. I don't understand why you would make the 2 words that mean opposite things sound almost identical. Like OI and IO. They're both bad. Saving grab by Pugh. Pugh unleashing a backhand. Has a target he likes, but it's going to be another jump ball. And Clapp able to knock it away, but not before Jack Edwards felt like he got a hand on it. Or Truman Abbott, excuse me, felt like he closed his hands on it. And I think Abbott may be arguing that the contact affected his second play on the disc. He did hold up the number 2 at some point during their discussion. Or arguing that he stopped rotation on the second attempt. If it's the latter, he may have a case, because I don't think I saw any contact between Clapp and Abbott's arm. It does look like they went straight to the observer, and the observer ruled that there was no foul, so it will be Eastside's disc here. We've seen Cyrus Clapp doing a lot of his work in the handler sleeves, but showing he's big and strong too. He can guard cutters. He definitely seems to be their ace on defense. A multi-tool defender, to be sure. Back with 5 on the mark. Ison back to Olsen, then totally abandoned. Everybody gone. Then everybody comes back. It's Lee who gets the reception. And for all the throwing prowess, Olsen's also a shifty reset. There have been very few players I think who've been able to stop him consistently from getting open to black. He has a great sense of how to use his defenders' momentum against them. Catches the reset now and forces cutters to get some space. Tries to force one in. Abbott intercepts it, then immediately sends it to Pugh, and Pugh collects it. Abbott with an instant score. Absolutely no hesitation there. And when you have an athlete like Sam Pugh out in front of you, I completely understand the lack of hesitation. Pugh's made a mark on this game already. He will continue to. Abbott saw him the instant that turnover happened, take off. Lee was not as quick with his first step, and Pugh was wide open. As we see the inside, attempted the inside break here from Olsen. 2 behind his receiver, and Abbott was sending it immediately.
And he used the momentum from intercepting that to be his power position to send that one to Pugh. And how early did Pugh have to start cutting for that to be open?
I think we saw a little bit of the potential danger of the heliocentric nature of Eastside's offense when it comes to Axel Olsen. We first saw him get abandoned by any other resets. At one point, he was the only player within, there was no player within 15, 20 yards of him vertically on the field. And on that turnover, you have to wonder if at some point cutters are kind of looking around and going, well, surely Isiv's going to take a deep cut here, and Olsen will put it up to him. As Olsen kind of even gave his cutters a little shrug as if to say, isn't somebody going to come get this disc? That eventually forces a very difficult break throw, and he's not able to put it out to space enough to avoid the block.
Well, there's a coach I know who calls the inside forehand the devil's throw. And it's because it tempts you like that. And there, in that case, Olsen fell for it. Olsen, right now, Eastside has 5 turnovers, and 4 of them have been Olsen's. Now, obviously, he brings a ton of offensive value, so that's not really a measure of whether or not he's having a good game. But you can see that he is asked to do a lot of the difficult things that this offense might do. And I'm wondering if they're going to try and send him a little bit because he makes them. You could get him a little bit more efficient. They tried to send Isaac deep, but he was able to shut that off. Now it's Bayer trapped on the sideline. Crossfield save can't be completed. David Chickering putting in the effort, but just can't secure a catch.
Great work by Grayson Kerr there. Another different matchup for Olsen to deal with from Lone Peak.
Nice inside break, gets the disc to Biden. And the pass, they reset it. Now another reset leads to a timeout.
This kind of relentless attack is a big aspect of what has made Lone Peak so successful this weekend. Again, Grayson Kerr, you see him there, fired up, number 59. Denies the disc, causes a little bit of confusion. I think that around throw that Eastside turned over was actually intended for Olsen. It sails a little bit long. The offside handler is able to get a hand on it but can't reel it in. And that initial offensive possession, I think Eastside did exactly what you were hoping they would do or talking about them doing, Keith, which is they sent Isiv deep. They expected to get some backside help over the top. So they brought Rao from the rail position in the horizontal stack, sweeping underneath to take advantage of that backside help. They were able to get their offense going, but when it came time to get a reset, you have fresh legs from Lone Peak and Grayson Kerr, ready to pounce, ready to pressure Olsen, and Olsen being asked to do a lot. Big weight on his shoulders. A miscommunication happens, and now we have Lone Peak with an opportunity to take the lead.
Huge opportunity for the Utah team. Rucott marked by Isaac as we check in. Pugh isolated. Flat break. Wow, smothering defense. Good to see that he's still feeling good. Great job by Lone Peak. Got the offhand. Goes for the around. It takes the fundamental approach, and Haas gets the goal. Lone Peak breaks, and they're in front 7-6.
That is a fantastic possession by Lone Peak out of the timeout. Patience all around. We are saying a few names repeatedly here. Pugh, Bybee, Burt, those types of names we're hearing often, but Haas is not a name that we've said often in this broadcast, and the motion of the offense on that possession goes top to bottom. There's not really any opportunity for an Eastside player to help off, to poach into a lane, because downfield players are active, reset cutters are active, spacing is good, as we see Pugh, 2 goals, 1 assist, 1 block, the 1 turnover. Not much to look at when you're contributing all over the field like he is.
A 6'1" senior, been playing for over half his life, 10 years of ultimate experience. Part of an ultimate family. His brother Kimball was a huge part of the team that
It looks like
won the high school national invite last season. You can see a number of the guys who were the stewards of that team still prowling around coaching on the sidelines. Seeing Everett Saunders and Max DeLynn.
The Lone Peak community is one that starts early and continues on for life. If we've seen some Salt Lake Shred players with Lone Peak ties out at the fields this weekend, there's a lot of support going top to bottom in that community.
Isaac gets over to the Bird side to start play. Wilson again seeing Courage match up.
Wow, with a beautiful high release flick there.
One of my favorite players.
And one we haven't seen him put yet. He's got stuff left in the tool belt.
Lee in the red zone. Gives it back to Olsen. A little bit crowded in front of Olsen, but Rao gets free and Olsen takes off to get to the front cone. Again, showing that agility that he uses. Uses it in spurts, but when it comes out, it's very effective.
That stops a 3-goal run for Lone Peak. Olsen able to be steady, great cutting by Rao in the reset space, and Olsen takes that first step after the throw for a give and go up the foreside. It's such a tough position for a mark to catch up on. You're already at a disadvantage because you're a little bit more flat-footed. If the thrower takes a forward step on their pivot, then they're already a whole step in front of you in a small space like that. You're not going to be able to make up that ground. In addition to that, the mark is on the other side of the new thrower. It's almost an impossible position to defend in.
I feel like this point is particularly important for Eastside to go around, because I feel like they're running their tackle play. We're seeing Mitchell Burt play both ways. Maybe a couple other players in their group are getting some extra run. But you're seeing Olsen, Ison, Rao, Clapp, and they're out there a lot in this game. And the second half is where you're going to see that start to play a bigger factor.
And we watch those players. We watch Eastside run through maybe 10 or 11 players in the semifinal. Meanwhile, Lone Peak, with almost a 10-point differential in their semifinal, some of those legs were probably able to rest a little bit more than they would have otherwise in a blowout like that.
A little bit of disorganization on defense from Eastside, but Lone Peak doesn't do much to take advantage. Roberts on the far third. Power position for Roberts. He's going to send it. I bet Burt's down there, and it is Mitchell Burt. And he's going to take us to half. I think there's going to be a contest on the part of the defense. Bayer going to try and argue that he got there. I think there's no way that Bayer caught this first. Maybe at the same time, but I feel like there's no way. Just from my vantage point.
Initially, it seemed pretty clear that it was Burt's disc first. will be interesting to see if the observers were able to get a good enough look at it to make a ruling, because I imagine Bert's going to go straight to the observers.
This is one of the hardest calls there. This is down to clear moments that decide whose dish this should be. So I think a lot of these go back, even if it wasn't exactly right, because you need a little bit of buffer. I mean, at best, that's a tie. At best.
Agreed. And in college, I played with a PhD student in physics who used to often argue that it's physically impossible for there to be a tie. Someone's molecules had to touch first, and in this case, the observers ruled that it was Bert's molecules on the disc first.
Yeah, you got to account for margin of error, sort of, in this situation. Got to have a little bit of room not for the exactitudes. But as it is, it's going to be a goal for Mitchell Burt. You can't let the guy get behind you as Roberts gets in the power position. Lone Peak up 8-7 at the half. Let's go to the sideline for an interview with part of the Eastside coaching staff.
Adam, how's it feel?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a very intense
It's like a
game.
dream come true. It means a lot to us.
A
We're a
nail
small
biter.
school,
It's going to come
and
down to the
ultimately it's a
wire.
big
We have
part of our
two
culture.
fans.
So many
We
ways
got
it feels
Eastside
like this team
and
is
Lone
a
Peak. Let's hear
culmination
it one more
of
time
15
for both
years
these
of hard
teams.
work. My co-coach Noah Ching is a player and a student of mine in Class of 2014. Having him with me and so many of our fans and alumni here, this is just a great moment for us.
That's amazing to hear. And it's a really tight game right now. There's a lot of athletic plays. What should we look forward from your team in the second half?
Great play by the best players we've got. We believe that we are a disciplined team, the most disciplined team in the country. What Lone Peak has shown us is that they're a disciplined team too. So we're going to come out and we're going to give it our best. We're not going to leave anything. This means a lot to us.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Adam, and good luck, Eastside.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep. Back to you, Keith and Aguilar.
So Lone Peak able to get back in front late in that half, but this is clearly a neck.
We can have everybody's attention. We have a very
Lone Peak
big
with the
moment
lead.
and a
We
big
talked
award
about
to
how
give to
tight
one
the lines have
one
been
of the
for
men's
Eastside.
teams competing.
It's just a big question of whether or not
Each
they're
year
going to be able to
they-
maintain legs in the second
Teams
half.
nominate
That's what we'll be
a
seeing when we
fellow
come back.
team to win the Spirit Award. This year, South Eugene has been elected as our Spirit champions. Let's give it up for South Eugene. As many of you know, and those that don't know, the Spirit Award is given to the team based off ratings given by other teams based on fairness, based on competition, on body contact, and on various other aspects to make it the most fair and the most fun for these teams to play. The award being handed to them by the tournament director is specially made from Utah, as it is made out of custom skis. Yes, that is correct. Skis, like what you do in the mountains, because Utah is known for that. Give it up one more time for South Eugene.
It's caught by A.J. Larson.
Grab some food, run to the restroom, and hustle back because we got ourselves a second half game of that high school invite championship game. One team will be walking away as the champion. Will it be the defending Lone Peak Knights or the number one team, Eastside Red Eagles?
Just a massive layout catch there by Kusharski.
starting the second half. Remember, Lone
Davis
Peak is up
looking for Gordon deep.
7 over Eastside.
Couple of defenders giving chase.
Another side note, we do have a
And that's a beautiful shot from Swiatek.
next to the red crew. So anything missing, water bottles, jacket, please head over there before it is too late. Make sure that you check to make sure all of your items are taken care of. If you have any lost, check out the lost and found to get all of your gear before you head.
And then they continue to the end zone.
And a great catch by Rondisvet. Popping up in the air. Rondisvet goes up over everybody.
Soars through the air for that catch.
And there is a Callahan.
Hand block. And got right back.
Now looking at downfield for Larson. He lays out and makes an incredible catch. Seymour going for the big gainer, looking for it all. And Rondisvet lays out for Dinah. They're going to the final.
Gets room and puts it up for Gadu. This is the kind of shot Roosevelt wants. And now the deep shot for Gadu. And she brings it in. This year's 2019 High School National League champions.
Davis looking for Gordon right away. Rondisvet in the area. Rondisvet goes up. Gordon gets it go. Berkeley win the high school national invite.
Where are you going? Nice. Are you
Of course you want to be of course you want to be working towards
just like learning? Yeah, that's
be
fair.
happy but never satisfied.
Intro.
It'll be about like 15 seconds.
15 seconds. Perfect.
Welcome back to the High School National Invite. 8-3 lead for Lone Peak in the boys' final over Eastside Prep. We're going to go down to the sideline to join Leah with a Lone Peak coach, Everett Saunders.
My name is Leah Smith, and I'm here with one of Lone Peak's coaches, Everett Saunders. Everett, how does it feel to be in the finals, and especially in your home state?
Significantly different than last year. Last year, I felt like we were in a whole new world, and here we're like, oh, is this state again? But, I mean, it's fun. We know exactly what to expect. Nothing's different. It's the exact same. We just got to come out here and expect to win.
That's great. And, yeah, what changes or adjustments are y'all going to make in the second half, or what can we expect to see out there?
I mean, obviously, Axel and his throws are ridiculous, and all we can do is just do our best to keep the disc out of his hands. So we're going to be trying a couple of things to throw off his groove, make sure he's going at a different pace, and take it from there.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Everett, and good luck, Lone Peak. All right, I'm going to throw it back to Keith and Aguilar.
Thank you, Leah and Everett. Getting ready for the second
I
half.
think we're good.
See if Lone Peak can pull it out and make it a two-peat. Repeat champs follow up with what we saw in the girls' division. South Eugene getting the win, and really a close contest through this one. And we saw Lone Peak get the first score of the game, but it was Eastside who got the first break, and then Lone Peak coming back in front. So as you can imagine, the tail of the tape is also pretty even.
Very even. We do see that Eastside has managed to earn a few more break chances than Lone Peak. You can kind of take those things one of two ways. One way is that Eastside's defensive offense has struggled to capitalize at the same rate as Lone Peak's. The other way to take it is that Lone Peak has had a tougher time prying the disc out of Eastside's offense's hands. Other than that, this game is about dead even. Based on what we've seen from this tournament so far, we wouldn't have expected anything less. As we talked about at the top of the broadcast, these two teams, the best two teams in the division, without question, based on results so far. We really couldn't ask for more in the final than to see a game at 8-7, and it's just going to be a matter of who can play the cleaner half here.
Have the opening pull of this second half by Pew. The big question, will
Lone Peak starting on defense. Kimmel Pugh getting, Sam Pugh. Wrong Pugh.
It's hard to keep these families straight here in the Utah community sometimes.
I'm shocked that there are no siblings, I think, on this Lone Peak roster. It's very different from what I'm used to.
If the kids that I've seen running around the sidelines with various jerseys on are any indication, we're not far off from a few siblings being on this Lone Peak roster of some of these current players and other players in the future.
And Cole, however, is going to be great field position.
It looks like it is actually past the brick. We'll be at about midfield. Olsen will take it for Eastside.
Olsen getting ready to take it from midfield. And the instant takeoff for Olsen. Now he's going to send a jump ball in the end zone. It's ripped down by Abbott. And again, we see him with the instant hump the other way. Bybee tracks it down, and he's going to take a timeout on the goal line. And now I've seen enough to know that's the plan. Everybody on the team knows if Abbott's about to catch it, you start going.
That was Truman on the D with a timeout called.
It looks like a discussion about what the stall is coming out of the timeout, but as we go into the timeout, couldn't agree more. I'm not entirely sure about this, but as we see the turnover and Abbott's subsequent forehand huck, I believe that Abbott is the player that I've seen from Lone Peak several times this weekend launch enormous flick pulls to start off some of their D points. So it's not that surprising in light of that to see him have two big forehands immediately off of turns here. And his receivers in both instances, Pugh and Bybee, are standout defensive players, but both throughout this weekend have generated immediate offense off the turn, especially in the deep space.
And there's a chance that Truman Abbott has had some other touches in this game. I can't say that I can recall every single touch. But he also might have 2 touches and like 125 throwing yards.
That's a ratio that you like to see if you're a coach, especially if he's completing them at 100%.
So Bybee's going to check in, and now it's Lone Peak with a great field position. And what a turnaround. What got stomping to show that the defense is not a problem for him. And Lone Peak jumps out to a 9-7 lead with a great start to the second half of break.
That's a tough opening point if you're Eastside. We talked about how legs are going to start to be a question here as Lone Peak's able to play through a little bit more of their depth than Eastside has been thus far in the game. That being said, we also talked about in the boys semifinal how not all 2 goals are created equal. And that was because we felt like Green Canyon was sitting on a 2-goal lead that Eastside was going to have trouble surmounting. Now here we sit in the finals, Lone Peak with a 2-goal lead in the second half, and having seen the determination of this Eastside roster, I'm going to once again say not all 2 goals leads are created equal. It's been a rough stretch for Eastside here, but by no means would I count a team with this proven track record of talent and skill and also determination in the face of a little bit of adversity. I'm not counting them out.
Yeah, but what we have seen over the course of this weekend is Lone Peak's ability to put teams away. And that could, it's going to be a question of which which one of those trends is stronger? Which team is going to have more in the tank for that? Because this Lone Peak team has certainly showed a propensity to get in front of teams and never let them get back. Also initiating with a break side throw to Clapp. Just like that, in 3 throws. Eastside's gotten just outside the red zone. Lee tries to get it back to Olsen, but well defended by Kerr. And Rao finds Clapp at the front cone for the score. So Eastside responds with a hold. It's 9-8 Lone Peak.
Excellent patience from Eastside there. Another great initiating play from Eastside to take advantage of. We saw Eastside over and over and again sending the disc into deep space right off of the pull. Another instance here where Eastside is able to take advantage of the help over the top and bring a sweeping Cyrus Clapp under from the break side rail in this instance. And as you said, that play call chews up the most of the yardage they need in just a matter of throws. That's the type of play that Eastside is going to have to be able to consistently make in order to get back into this game and potentially get a lead.
Yeah, remember when it was just plan A, hey, let's just keep taking shots? That has gone by the wayside, and it's on Eastside to make that adjustment after Lone Peak found a way to turn off the faucet. This pull caught by Finn, falling over the fence.
That pull sent the better part of 100 yards in the air.
But that's the nature of pulling. You could throw a horrible pull 40 yards out the sideline, or you could throw a beautiful pull 100 yards that goes 5 yards outside the back of the end zone. Offense gets in the same position anyway.
That's the truth.
Big shot going up for Whatcott. Can it stay in bounds? Not on this one.
And speaking of throws that have the same result, that one sails just long. Eastside is going to get an opportunity here to tie this game up.
Olsen straight up the sideline. Gets in the power position and he's got a backhand out to Isiv, but not enough touch on that one. He'll add to his turnover count.
That's a rare mistake there from Olsen. Just like he led his player out to space with an IO forehand earlier this game, you almost would have liked to see him throw it out just leading out to the break side space. He got a break shot opportunity and tried to keep it on the same third of the field, resulting in too small of a window and a turnover as we get a huge hand block here from Isiv.
Great field position for Eastside to get a break. Try and tie this game back up. Olsen, somehow he and Isiv able to work together to keep that one in bounds. That's about as close to being out as you can get.
And that is an end zone offense called Playmakers Make Plays. Olsen with the pickup right outside the end zone. Isiv with the strong aggressive cut, attacking the back shoulder of his defender. And Bacon just barely unable to stay with him. Olsen puts it where only Isiv can get it. But that's all you need to do when you get a short field turnover. That's bookends for ISIF, the hand block and the goal to follow. The Eastside fans are ecstatic. We're seeing some eagle wings flapping. And we've got a tie game, Keith.
Well, the sun is just starting to recede. Beautiful sight here in Salt Lake. Got a beautiful game in front of us. Two teams put it all on the field, and right now they're in a dead heat. Still, however, it's Lone Peak with the advantage. I don't know if Axel Olsen's going to get another point off in this game.
If he can run, if I was this coach, I'd keep him out there.
Lone Peak offense getting started with some short looks. A little bit of disconnection with the cutters. What a shake from Roberts.
It's not often you see Cyrus Clapp get lost.
Took the words out of my mouth. Reset saved. But things still a bit stagnant downfield there. It's a free cutter, and now it's off to the races. All they needed was a little bit of an advantage for Lone Peak to start gaining the yards and the momentum. That is a crisp offensive point. It didn't come easy, but it did come smoothly.
Well, when we talk about Lone Peak's offense, one thing that I have to give them credit for is the ability to be patient and just let things develop downfield. And here's Roberts just putting putting Clapp on skates. That opens up the offense a little bit. Another thing that you have to be careful of as things slow down on offensive point is what you don't want to do is have all of your cutters downfield just all start cutting at once. And sometimes it's to your benefit to have everybody just settle down, hold their space, let your resets play a little pitch and catch, let things open up downfield. And I think that's a little bit what happened there for Lone Peak is things got a little murky downfield. The cutters reset themselves, held their space, got a little pitch and catch in the backfield, and as soon as you do that, all of a sudden the open space starts to become clear to your throwers. They're able to access it with the throws they feel comfortable with, and then your offense opens up and you start moving. In my opinion, that's a skill unto itself to know when is a good time to just let the offense come to you rather than forcing it.
This Lone Peak team has a lot of experience. There's a lot of seasoned vets on this team as far as youth ultimate goes. I mean, there might be more ultimate experience on this team than some adult club teams. And you can see that coming to bear with how they approach the game. And you talked about how intentional this team is and the entire program, the way that they're built. And there's almost nothing done without purpose. And that certainly plays out in the style of play this team brings to the field.
Well, and to your point, Keith, it's one of the great things about this event is this is when you have Ultimate players who've been playing Ultimate for the largest percentage of their life, you know? And it is so meaningful to these players, and the effort they put forward makes that clear.
I love the way that Eastside started to make this break side cut. Also basically their new plan A. And we did something else before. Physical cut from Olsen to get free of Kerr. I was a bit surprised Kerr didn't take issue with that. But those players are deciding the level of physicality I think is right for them. Olsen flips it in to the end zone, and Crow, it's just a few molecules from that cleat on the kick spike. Ties it up at 10s.
A good patient point there from Eastside. We've talked a couple times now about Eastside being able to open up their offense in light of Lone Peak shutting down that initiating deep look from ISIV. One thing I'd be curious to see if Eastside's able to incorporate at any point is there any other cutter on this team who can cut deep? We know Rao's an athlete. We know Clapp's an athlete. We know Bear's an athlete. It'd be nice to see them try and stretch the field. I got to imagine that if they continue to play small ball, Lone Peak is going to ratchet up that pressure eventually and perhaps be able to get some hands on some discs in the underneath space.
You think Axel Olsen could throw it and take off and get it?
At this point, I'm not putting anything past Axel Olsen, to be honest with you, Keith. But it's another good question to ask, you know. A deep cut from that handler spaces often can be a very effective cut. I don't know that we've seen anybody else on Eastside really put it deep. But stretching that field, as we come down to these kind of final potentially 10 or so points here, I think that Eastside's going to have to be able to stretch the field at some point.
I also wonder if we might see, you might really try and front Olsen. I think that you really want to make it so somebody else is trying to beat you with their heels. But this Eastside team has found a way to get the disc moving, even without him, because they have a nice structural component to their offense. A bit more of a diverse attack, I'd say, for Lone Peak. Roberts takes the reset. Fights one off the line. Great opportunity for a big yardage gain for Lone Peak, and now they've got lots of room. Easy goal for Burt. Little flip from Whatcott. And again, the shrugs. I don't know what it means, but I like it.
Can't say enough about Burt's ability to find space here, as both the initial throw to kind of move the disc up the field, and then that one there from Roberts, or excuse me, I think from Jensen, to kind of put the disc on the doorstep, are both just a matter of Burt sinking into open space and trusting that his thrower is going to be able to get the disc to him. And we talked a little bit about how he's the type of multi-tool player with talent at every level of the game, but doesn't force it. Lets the game come to him, plays the role that his team needs him to play, and that's a great example of it right there.
He stays patient. You know, a player with his kind of explosive offensive capabilities, you might expect to really try and force his way to get the disc, but just waited his turn. And then as the offense broke free, that it was then that he got engaged and able to come away with the goal.
Coming out here on this deep point, it'll be interesting to see if Lone Peak, we've seen them adjust to take away the initiating deep cut to ISIV. Let's see if we see any adjustments to continue. We talked about getting away from plan A for Eastside, going to plan B. Can Lone Peak force them to a plan C? And if they do, does Eastside have a plan C?
They're going to be doing it from a stop disc. And so far we've seen a lot of Rao and Clapp coming in on the break side to initiate play. I imagine that since we're not seeing ISIV do that, he's probably taking off deep a lot of these possessions. We'll see if he does that now. But I mean, there are players, they've got Sam Pugh basically back there playing center field. There's now a jump look from Lone Peak. Lee. Back to Olsen. Swings for Eastside, just working it amongst the handlers. No pressure on them to do anything otherwise yet. They're doing a good job stepping into those catches or jumping into them in some cases. Trying to keep some forward momentum for the offense. Like I kind of think the throw should do the gaining on that throw to Lee rather than Lee trying to step. Bit of a risky look, but Rao is room. Now we'll test Eastside's patience as they get into the red zone.
These types of zones and jumps that don't apply a lot of pressure to the reset, this is where they ask players to stay patient. I think we're going to get a travel call here on Olsen.
Looks justified to me.
I agree. I think it was a catch, and then he took off. He thought that he jumped before he caught it, but it looked pretty clear to me that it was a catch and then a jump.
And one that mattered, a travel that actually affected the outcome of the play, I think.
See the replay here, just out of frame. But this gets tapped in.
And Olsen probably feels vindicated, tossing that blade to the back of the end zone for Chickering. We stay even, 11-11. It feels like we're on a bit of a powder keg here. And it could be one big play that really sets this game off.
It's true. I like that look from Lone Peak. Honestly, I think both Lone Peak and Eastside in their last 2 D points sent out a little bit of a jump zone type look to try and disrupt some flow. I think that's the name of the game. At this point in the game, we're getting a timeout here from Eastside, but I think the move here for both teams is to maybe avoid letting the other team's offense settle into a rhythm here to close out the game. I have to wonder if at some point Eastside is going to have to play matchup defense and get a block that way. The patience of Lone Peak is so excellent. They've, I believe, been, if not perfect, very close to it against every single zone look that Eastside's given them. I think it's important to keep them from getting into a rhythm, but I also think once they're out of that rhythm, you may have to seize on it with aggressive person defense.
See which levers the Eastside staff decides to pull. This is a pretty athletic team they're going up against. Requires some smart matchup defense in order to get the better of them. But Eastside hanging tougher than anybody else has with Lone Peak.
That's true. And we see a beautiful sunset over to the west of us. Just past that building would be the Great Salt Lake. We see the sun going down here. Will be a beautiful finish. Perhaps we'll get a little bit of time to play truly under the lights here. The lights have been turned on, and what a way to finish what has been an incredible tournament so far this weekend.
Do you mean we, as in we'll get some of this game under the lights, or Ultra World Mini?
Oh, well, we know we're getting Ultra World Mini under the lights.
The true champions of this tournament.
Yes, we'll make sure the cameras are turned off for that. It would be such a disgrace to the talent and athleticism that's been on display on this field all weekend long if they were to catch you and I out there throwing around to each other, Keith.
Our days are long gone, sadly. Well, we can certainly talk to you some more about Ultimate. And these kids who've got a long careers ahead of them.
And we get another zone jump look here from Eastside. I expect to see patience and consistency from Lone Peak as we have already so far.
Lone Peak does such a great job of once they find the holes, once they get past that first layer of just pouring it on, they gain a lot of yardage in quick succession once they get past that initial front from the defense. Eastside staying in it, and now it looks like they're traditional. And a quick dish for the score to Whatcott. One step closer for Lone Peak.
That's a great look. Isev thought he had a shot at the block. Great communication from Whatcott, I believe, as the disc was on the goal line, and he saw Roberts poached, called it out for his thrower, got the disc off the sideline, and moved it straight on through to right here. It's Watcott off screen, talking to Roberts, letting him know where the poach is. We almost, you know, Isip takes, or excuse me, that's not Isip, that's Jack Edwards taking a shot at getting a block. Just narrowly missing it. Once again, Lone Peak slicing and dicing through a junk zone look from Eastside.
Looks like we had to
It's 12-11.
More like zone peaking, right?
You always are, Keith.
Still our score stand.
Time is winding down here for Eastside. They will need a break at some point if they hope to take this title
You
home.
better be cheering on your team.
As a reminder for new information for those who haven't watched any of the tournament yet, no hard caps. You got to score to win. So we're 12 and a half minutes just about from that +1 cap being applied. Lee centers the pull to Olsen. So pretty honest matchup defense from Lone Peak. Olsen, not a lot of options, but Lee squeezes free. Just nothing really going for Eastside right now. The Cutters are not getting anywhere. Chickering gets the first upfield pass, but his continue is knocked away. I think that was Truman Abbott, perhaps, who got that block. Excuse me, it was Amir Bagongi. Now here's Bagoji. Back to Pew. Pew out to space. And brought in by Abbott. Lone Peak with a critical late break to go up 13-11, although the waving hands mean we may take this one back off the board.
A goal was initiated, but it looks like a call has been made.
It looks like there was not a call.
Uncalled. So back to celebrating.
And Keith, that is a point that is a testament to the depth of this Lone Peak program. We get a block from Eamon Briganji. We have not said his name yet. We also saw Elijah, the junior Elijah Arnold, who I'm not sure that we've even seen him play a point yet. He may have been on, but he certainly hasn't been taking the Axel Olsen matchup. He takes the Axel Olsen matchup, forces some difficult throws to start off. That's the type of pressure that has a team like Eastside have to force a throw elsewhere. We see the beautiful backdrop of the Wasatch Mountains. We just have to give a shout out to Cut Camp and to Ulti World for putting on this tournament, selecting such a beautiful location. The growth of this tournament over its existence has been amazing. The quality of play has increased every year. The competitiveness of the teams has increased every year. And I have to imagine that's something that we'll continue to see going forward. See the sun going down behind the field. Tough to beat this, Keith.
Lone Peak would love to put this game away. We talked earlier about how they have been so good at finishing off teams, and it's Eastside who's in their sights right now.
That's Arnold drawing the Olsen matchup yet again.
And Isip, I think, has been really quieted in the second half by Sam Pugh. Credit to the senior defender. He's taken off, and Olsen's never going to turn that down. Not sure if he's going to be able to get to it, but he does. Big left hand past the bidding Pugh. Pugh looking a little uncomfortable. Hopefully he's okay. But a critical score for Eastside.
And a testament to the persistence of Olsen and Isiv. As you said, Isiv quieted throughout the second half, but it's almost as if he heard you say it. Olsen catches the disc. Isiv manages to take off from relatively close to the disc. That's the space that allows him to get some steps, and if you can get some steps and hold your position against a defender like Stan Pugh, you're doing a pretty good job, and no doubt Philip Isiv has been doing a good job for Eastside all weekend long.
4 goals for Isiv in this game, tying him for the lead in this match with Mitchell Burt, who also has 4, and we're up to 7 assists for Axel Olsen. So still mathematically possible for him to double digits again. See the familiar faces of the Lone Peak offense. And it's hard when a team doesn't have that one player. You called it heliocentrism earlier. And it's not a part of Lone Peak's game. There's not a player you could say, all right, if we could keep this person off the disc, then we'll be okay. It's really a total line effort from them. And yeah, Roberts has been strong, Bert's been really good, but these other guys are not afraid to get the disc and make a difference. Roberts around to Jensen. Jensen's taking a shot, misread by the defender, well taken in by Barris. And that's an easy flip for Lone Peak, and now they are just one more score away from making it 2 titles in a row.
And to your point, Keith, that's a goal for Colton Bacon, who's got 1 assist on the day, but that's his first goal. That's an assist for Andrew Barris, who that's his first time showing up on the stat sheet, period. This Lone Peak team, as you pointed out, and as they proved all weekend long, it's just a top to bottom effort. There is not a weak link. There is not a chink in the armor of these Knights. They're able to work the disc through the entire roster. And here we have them in a position to potentially break to win a back-to-back high school national invite. There you see on the line, standing in their way, the Eastside Eagles, who have put together an incredible season. They need a heroic performance here. They need to hold, and then they're going to need at least 1 or 2 breaks. 1 break to extend the game, depending on our cap situation, and 2 breaks for a chance to win it.
Their back was virtually against the wall the last time that we had them on live stream against Green Canyon, and they responded. Can they do it again? Bayer with the disc, up line to Olsen. You know what that means. So does the defense, so Olsen counters with an underlook. Bayer taking off. Olsen's going to throw on another high play, though, so it's Abbott and Bayer again. And Bayer trying to toe the back line. No signal yet from the observers. They're conferring.
From my view, Bayer's point that his right foot was down first is correct. Wow, that's a difficult call.
I think I saw the same thing you did, but really close.
I'm not sure I agree with that call by the observers, Keith, and that's a really tough one if you're Eastside.
Harkens back to the opening of the game where they had a score taken off the board, and Lone Peak ended up getting it to go up 1-0. This could be it if Lone Peak can punch it in. Abbott gets the reset. High throw, but Pugh tracks it down. Isidora pursuing. holding. Great poach block. I don't even know if I call it a poach. It wasn't even intended. Just Lee in the right spot, and Hugh gives him an easy one. Timeout.
There's a timeout on the field by Eastside.
Great timeout there for Olsen. We've seen him do this a couple times in the, let's look at this replay here. That right foot comes down first, Keith. It's, you know.
If that right foot was in bounds, hard to tell from that angle, then he would have been in. But he clearly got that foot down prior to any other body contact with the ground. So the question remains if that foot was actually within the boundaries of the field.
We're seeing it again, and again from this angle, it's tough to see exactly where that line is, but based on what I saw initially, I think he landed well inside the line with that right foot. That is a real difficult call to stomach if you're Eastside, but you know, they're moving on. They've got the disc back. As I was saying, we saw Olsen several times in the semifinals pick up the disc and call a timeout. He seems to have a good sense of when his team needs to refocus. And I believe by our count in the semifinals, they were perfect on these out of timeout situations with Olsen picking up the disc. They definitely need this one here.
Olsen with Clapp and Bayer ahead of him in the middle of a unbalanced side stack. Bayer going deep, and this one low enough to get past the defense, but not to stay in bounds. There's not going to be any controversy about that one.
Lone Peak will have a chance.
Pugh brings it in with Ison on the mark. Deep shot going up for Burt, and Burt with room. It's going to hang, however, and Mitchell Burt skies for the game. Lone Peak reaches the peak again. It's 2 peaks for the repeat for Lone Peak.
Your high school national invite champions, Lone Peak High School with the repeat. All due credit to Eastside, who pushed them as far as any other team did this weekend. But at the end of the day, it was a dominant performance this weekend from the Lone Peak Knights. You could not ask them to do anything else. They don't give up single digits or double digit score to their opponent until the finals. They work top to bottom. Looking at our stat sheet, Burt leads Lone Peak with 5 goals. I don't believe we have, Nick Watcott had 3 goals. No one else registers more than 2 in any other statistical category for Lone Peak. Just all over the place, top to bottom roster performance. Can't say enough about it, Keith.
I echo some of the sentiments from last year's championship run. They're deep, they're athletic, they're disciplined, they're together, and Lone Peak captures another title, a well-earned one. I don't think there's any doubt about who was the best team at this tournament in the boys division. We're going to go down to the sideline to talk with Roberts and Leah.
Hi, my name's Leah, and I'm here with Ryan from Lone Peak. Ryan, what does it feel like to win the high school national invite?
It's the most amazing feeling in the world. We've worked so hard for this. 6 months of work all day, every day. We work together, we work hard. Our coach and our captains, we've done so much for this team, and they're my family. Oh my gosh, I'm on top of the world right now. It's the best feeling in the world, and I can't wait for tonight. It's gonna be the biggest party of my life, and I'm just so grateful that we had this chance to come out here in Salt Lake, our hometown, and win. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna remember this moment for my whole life. It is the best feeling ever.
Yes, and at home and back-to-back. One more question. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out or thank for your time on Lone Peak, as well as like this journey through high school national invite?
I want to thank a couple people. Max Dillon and Everett Saunders, they're my captains last year when we won. They taught me everything I know. Without them, we wouldn't be here. There's a lot of people on this team I love, but I got to shout out my boy Mitchell Burt. He's my best friend on this team, and I love throwing it to him deep. He's my buddy, and we got that chemistry, and we work together super well. And gosh, I love playing with him, and I love playing with all these guys. They're my brothers, they're my family. I just want to thank everyone, especially my parents, mom and dad. I love you so much. Thank you for supporting me through everything, and thanks to everyone.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Go celebrate.
Well, let's go.
All right, thanks so much. Back to Keith and Aguilar.
A heartfelt statement from Ryan Roberts, thanking his family, and family is clearly such a big part of the Lone Peak program. And also the forebearers, the players who came before him who taught him things that he knew and how to lead. And a fantastic performance from a worthy champion.
And that's the kind of attitude, Keith, that produces a program like what we've seen on display this weekend. Appreciation for what came before. You have to imagine he's going to pass that kind of attitude on to the players who are freshmen and sophomore on the team right now, and then that's the thing that self-perpetuates, and on they go. It's hard to imagine that anytime soon this is a program that won't be putting up top-tier youth ultimate performances.
Eastside with a commendable effort, the best yet that we've seen up against Lone Peak. They'll settle for a silver medal, but a credit to a team that spent much of the year as the top-ranked team in our power rankings. But in the end, it's Lone Peak who emerges as the champion with another dominating performance.